Hello and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and Neverwinter with the Scourge Warlock class. I am now up to level 53. We're getting pretty close to the end here, guys, and I've unlocked just about everything that there is to be unlocked from the power bar. The only thing I'm missing is one class feature, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. Right now I'm just running around, killing some drow. Nothing particularly exciting, so I think it's a perfect time to go ahead and talk about the new powers. So I think last time I left off with Hellish Rebuke and Harrow Storm. I have unlocked all the other tiers since. So we'll start at the top, shall we? First things first, we got a new daily, Tyrannical Threat. Very nice daily. So what happens is you temporarily change your Warlock's Curse class mechanic to the Tyrannical Curse. Pretty sure you can only cast one of them at a time though, so don't expect to throw up 3 of these. Those affected by Tyrannical Curse are damage linked and deal 30% of the damage you deal to them to other targets within 30 feet. Basically what ends up happening is every time you do damage to your main target, you're hitting everything around you for a percentage of the damage. So what's great about this is you can tack this onto, say, a boss or some other high health target, and then just do as much single target damage as you can to the boss, and you're also doing damage to all the adds. It's like an extra AoE. Fantastic ability, free damage, it's just absolutely awesome. Who doesn't love this daily? It's perfect. Definitely going to stay on my bar probably for the rest of the time. The next class feature that I picked up that I like a lot is No Pity, No Mercy. Critical hits now briefly give you combat advantage over the critically hit targets, and I've maxed out the debuff duration as much as I can. Combat advantage basically gives you bonus damage. Think, for example, of the Trickster Rogue. The Trickster Rogue really does take advantage of combat advantage a lot. The idea being get behind the targets. So, say, let the Guardian Fighter take all the damage. The Rogue gets behind and gets an additional damage because, well, they've got a combat advantage. This gives you that, basically, every time I critically hit, which is fairly often. So this is a pretty nice, it's almost like a passive damage boost. I'm thinking about trading it out, but I'm not entirely convinced yet. We'll see how the theory crafting works out. Now we got 4 actually new powers that I'm going to show you, and these are interesting. So the first one is Warlock's Bargain. You forge a link between an enemy's soul and your own, and then offer it to your own dark patrons. You sacrifice 15% of your own hit points to steal life from your target over time. In addition, 15% of your incoming damage is redirected to your linked target. It's considered a curse, but it is not removed by powers that consume them. The real question I have to answer still, and I haven't figured this out yet, is do I get the bonus, for example, of do I get the curse consumption bonus even if it doesn't consume the Warlock's Bargain? I don't know. We're going to have to test that today. I'll show that off and see if we can make that work. I do believe, ideally, if you do this on a high health target, you do end up getting your hit points back. So it's really sort of a short-term damage effect on you in order to do more damage to them. Pretty interesting. I think it's mostly useful if you expect to be taking some damage. It's probably really good in PvP. I don't expect I'll be using it very much, but I'm not going to rule it out entirely. That partially is because you get a rather substantial lifesteal bonus, and I don't know. Since I am a Temptation Warlock, it might have some synergy. I have to run the numbers on that still. I haven't found out if that works. The next ability to look at is Wraith's Shadow. You summon shadows to smother your foe in a sickly mass of darkness, reducing their outgoing damage and dealing damage over time. Additional damage is dealt on the final tick. I can use the ability again, and it converts the DOT into an Immobilize. It also consumes the curse. The follow-up power also immobilizes, weakens, and damages your enemies near the target. So, pretty interesting. It's basically just an applied dot and debuff. Not an outstanding amount of damage, all things considered, so I probably will not use it. But again, this probably would be very useful in PvP. So I might consider putting some extra points into it if I have them available. Blades of the Vanquished Armies. You create a swarm of shadowy blades that encircle you around you, damaging nearby enemies. This has a curse synergy effect. Blades will periodically fling themselves at targets affected by your Warlock's curse. Pretty useful if you have a lot of enemies that are getting up close and personal, but other than that, I don't really see a lot of use for this. Now, that said, there are some feats that work with that ability. For example, Darkness. Enemies damaged by Blades of Vanquished Armies briefly deal less damage to you by up to 10%. It could be useful for as far as survivability goes in close combat, but besides that, not really my playstyle. Because I do have the Paragon of a Hellbringer, I get the Gates of Hell daily. Summon a Hellgate at a target location that spews a stream of hellish flame in your direction. So it's a cone damage. That's pretty awesome. A lot of damage, by the way. You might notice that. Enemies killed by the blast are reduced to ash, and part of their essence is pulled through the gate as an offering to the dark gods. Pleased by your gift, the gods will restore some of your action points. In addition, players killed by this power may not be revived. Okay, that's huge right there. Not allowing people to revive. That's a pretty awesome PvP ability. Not sure how fiddly it's going to be. I actually have yet to use it, so we're going to see this for the first time. But that's a lot of damage, and potentially, if you do it in front of a bunch of trash, by which I mean weak mobs, then potentially it restores your action points a lot quicker. Maybe you can use it more often. Maybe worth it. Maybe not. We're going to find out. The last class feature that I haven't picked up, but I'm considering, is Prince of Hell. Increases your armor penetration stat by 10% at rank 1 all the way up to 20% by rank 3. That's pretty good. Armor penetration is a very useful stat, one of the first stats you want to max out as DPS, so it might be good for a fresh level 60, but I'm guessing by the time you have armor, it's not going to be that useful for you. We're going to find out. Alright, I'm just going to go through the standard rotation here. You notice that Compounding Soul, that's one of the feat abilities from my Temptation Tree that's taking effect. Alright, so this is just the standard at-wills, nothing fancy. So now we're going to start adding in some powers. Ooh, hello, a ranger's body. I probably should find these things. Where's another slaver? There's one. Okay, which one am I going to use first? Let's try Warlock's Bargain, shall we? Alright, we're going to sacrifice some of our HP in order to do more damage to him. There we go. I think I just slew a shadow of myself? I don't know. I also don't seem to have actually lost any health. That's interesting. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to lose 15% of my own hit points to steal life from them over time. But I don't seem to have actually taken a substantial amount of damage. Let's try that again. Yeah, okay, I did take some damage. It's just my lifesteal is good enough that I'm restoring it pretty fast. So it actually... Yeah, the lifesteal I get from this basically means I regain my 15% health within a matter of seconds. It's really not a big deal. So as far as that's concerned, hey, no sweat. And you'll notice it actually does a fairly good amount of necrotic damage, and the extra lifesteal could be pretty useful. So a lot of people do say that Warlock's Bargain is a great ability to have. I probably will play with it, see how I can work it into my build, but it's pretty nice. Wraith Shadow is next on the list. That's the simple dot. Let's grab that scroll. Where's another one? There's a couple warriors. Well, I'll save them for the Gates of Hell. Let's try... You guys look like good targets. The Arachnomancer. Dot! And that's it. Okay. Nothing especially good. To be honest, it doesn't do a great amount of damage, so I probably will not keep this on my ability bar for very long. Oh, no you don't. No you don't. Oh, he healed. You jerk. That's it. Sacrifice myself. There we go. Extra lifesteal makes me invincible. Perfect. Yeah, the extra lifesteal actually could be pretty useful. I don't know, Warlock's Bargain, not a bad idea. But yeah, so that's the Wraith Shadow. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's really a useful ability simply because you can immobilize your target at will. And since it does consume a curse, that's not bad. So this is a really good PvP ability, but not something I'm going to be using for dungeons very often, I don't expect, because I hope I don't have to be playing the control role. The next power that we're going to show off is that it is. It's a living spiderling. I thought it would have attacked me by now. Blades of Vanquished Armies will be the next ability to show off. Let's just check this chest. Okay, nothing exciting. Yeah, we'll just use it on this, guys. Alright, blades. They're swirling around, and I'm going to curse these targets, and the blades are going to go flinging at them. Oh, look at them taking extra damage. Yeah, not a lot of damage. Again, I'm pretty sure that it's only useful if you have some feats that kind of buff it up. Let's try... There we go. Pretty sure it's only useful if you have the feats to buff it up and make it do less damage to you. That's a pretty good survivability trick, but besides that, I'm not entirely convinced that it's worth your time. So we'll probably skip that. Now let's see if I can find some good targets, because we want to use Gates of Hell, and we all know that's a big one. Where's a bunch of little guys? Come on. Come to Papa. Pravus wants to play. Where are you? Whoa, that's a dragon that is somewhere. Okay. Well, we're gonna ignore that. Little guys? Little guys, come on. There's supposed to be some here, right? There's a bunch. Alright, we're gonna try this. Gates of Hell, daily ability. Ready to go? Boom. Oh. Oh. Well, that didn't seem to do diddly squat. It killed something, and I did get some action points back. Maybe about, I don't know, 12%. 12%. Okay, considering that's the only ability I use, that's not half bad. Whoops. Okay. I guess we're killing you guys. Now I need to go ahead and start generating up points again so that I can use my next daily ability. I am generating action points very quickly with this, Blades of Vanquished Armies. I'm wondering if that actually does have some unintentional ability to increase your action points. Maybe not, though. Maybe my at-wills just really do generate that many action points. That said, we're just going to keep doing damage. There we go. Let's see if I can get enough points that I can start getting the Tyrannical Curse, because that's the last power I want to show you, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the feats. As I said, I believe in the last video, I did go with the Temptation Tree. I've made some progress on that front, so I can show a little bit. You know, this Blades of Vanquished Army actually could be useful if you are using the Hand of Blight, intending to be primarily a melee character. I don't know. It's actually not a bad ability. It does a fair, comparable amount of damage, so... well, we'll see. We'll see. Alright, now that I have my action points up, let's see if we can find a good target for the Tyrannical Curse. Preferably something with little guys around. That'll do just fine. Now, note for the Tyrannical Curse that it does have a long whoops. Oh, I'm under attack. Well, while I talk, the Tyrannical Curse does have a long animation time of about 2 seconds or so. So I would recommend that you are prepared ahead of time to use the Tyrannical Curse. You don't want to do it if you need to be moving right away. So be paying attention to that. Alright, Tyrannical Curse. Yeah, that's the animation time. Alright, I'm going to apply the Tyrannical Curse. And it's doing damage already, but every time I'm doing damage to him, see, that actually just splatted all the little spiderlings, and that was only doing 30% damage to them. But that's how it works. Now I should be able to reapply the Tyrannical Curse, because I do not have my Warlock's Curse ability so long as this daily is active, and there we go, it just faded away, the curse is consumed, I'm back to my Warlock's Curse as before, nothing fancy, not too hard. It's really a great ability. I think it's probably one of the best dailies you could possibly use in boss fights, especially if you expect there to be lots of mobs. So Tyrannical Curse, in my opinion, for regardless of which build you're going with as a Warlock, should probably be on your bar. As for the secondary one, Gates of Hell is pretty decent in theory. I didn't see a lot of incredible damage there, but the animation seemed a little odd, so maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention, but we'll see. I'm still sticking with Flames of Phlegethos for simple damage, or maybe a Cursed Souls is kind of my, oh crap, I'm gonna die power. But for the most part, what I'm ending up doing is I'm using Tyrannical Threat. It's called Tyrannical Threat. Well, Tyrannical Curse ability. And that's gonna be my primary bread and butter daily ability, but I don't want to waste it. I'm the kind of person who says, hey, this is a really great daily, but it's kind of worthless using it on trash. You want to save it for the big fight. Save it for a good opportunity. So what I end up doing is I usually end up having my action bar full. My action points dice full. And that actually works to my advantage because I have Flames of Empowerment, which ends up giving me a total of 12% extra damage. So for the most parts, whenever you're not using your dailies, I would say you're wasting those action points. But in the case of the Warlock, if you're using Flames of Empowerment, it actually is still a passive buff. Hey, no big deal. Oops, that was a mistake. Well, that's fine. I do think the animation of Warlock's Bargain is actually pretty awesome. You look like you're sacrificing yourself, because you are, technically. Alright, let's use the Immobilize. There we go. See, that's what the animation looks like. Now he's immobilized, he can't do anything. Not that that was much of a problem, but you get the idea. Great PvP ability. Probably won't use it for anything else. Alright, I'm just going to go ahead and switch back to my typical bread and butter setup. I do use Harrowstorm fairly often in place of Vampiric Embrace, but we'll stick with this for the time being. Alright. Now, let's talk a little bit about feats, because I did go with the Temptation route, and I have maxed that out. So, you already know that I went with Hope Stealer for the extra life steal, I went with Compounding Soul for the extra temporary hit points. I did elect to go for the Aura of Despair, which basically all enemies within me deal less damage, and now I'm under attack. Okie dokie. Yeah, how do you like that? Oh, not very much, probably. There you go, there you go. Anyway, it does make them do less damage, so that's kind of a passive boost for me, and of course that means they do less damage to my allies as well, so that's pretty useful in certain dungeons. The other aura that I decided to go for, and if I can kill this guy real quick and show it to you, come on, just die. Thank you. Okay, the other ability I went for is the aura of cruelty, which means that all allies get more lifesteal, but that also affects me, so this is a passive 5% extra lifesteal, which is decent. Not the best thing ever. It's really useful because it helps your allies, but it's still pretty decent. I did skip both of these. Darkness because I don't intend to be using Blades of Vanquished Armies very often, and Eldritch Momentum because an additional 5% stamina each time I take damage is not really optimal to me. The extra stamina, if that were like a passive 5% stamina regen boost, maybe that'd be worth it. But I'm going to be trying not to take damage as it is. The whole point of stamina is to be trying to avoid that damage. So that could be potentially useful just as a get out of jail free kind of card, but I don't know. I'm sticking away from it. I decided it's better just to go with 2 auras, make myself a little extra bonus in a team, and just stick with that. Better way to spend my points, because the ultimate goal was to get to this. Soul Bonding. Your lifesteal now also heals ally for 200% of its value, and the healing component of your Vampiric Embrace now heals nearby allies for 100% of its value. So Vampiric Embrace is now my only real heal ability. Other than that, I'm kind of doing passive healing every time I deal damage for 200% of my lifesteal stat, which, by the way, is currently 1200. So basically, I'm applying 2400 lifesteal to all the damage I'm doing, and that goes straight to my allies. That's pretty nice. Not a half-bad way to passively heal a party. Probably not as good as a cleric, but still pretty good. Of course, this does mean I have a few extra Paragon points to spend as I level up. I'm currently spending some in the Fury tree to kind of up my damage because, as I've said before with Temptation, since you're doing lifesteal healing, that means you want to do as much damage as possible, so I figured Fury is a pretty good choice. Right now, I'm spending some points in Daughter's Promises, which is a very interesting name for a feat. When a cursed target is killed, you deal extra necrotic damage, weapon damage as necrotic damage to a target near the recently slain. Well, since I should be keeping a cursed target up at all times, that basically means I get a bonus damage on my next target. It's pretty awesome, and I don't think I'll get a chance to really make use of this necrotic damage because the Fury tree really has some great procs from that, but oh well. Now, there are a couple other abilities that I get to look at. For example, after critical hits, I do basically more weapon damage as necrotic damage. Not bad. Paragon Power is the Gatekeeper's Empowerment, really good for the Gates of Hell daily, and my Flames of Empowerment is also affected, which could be nice. Look at this. So first off, Gates of Hell gets an additional 5% damage and 2% more action points for each target killed. That's not bad if you intend on using Gates of Hell, which I very well might. But secondly, the Flames of Empowerment class feature, which I'm using, now increases your damage by an additional 5% maximum while action points are full. That basically means I will have a 17% damage boost passively whenever my action points are full. Yeah, that's not half bad. If I'm ever going to sit on my action points, which I frequently do, that's not a bad way to do it. So, but it does mean you'll have to consider the fact that every time you use a daily, you just dropped 17% of your damage. So you may have to keep that in mind. The other alternative is Offering to the Prisoner. When a cursed target is killed, your damage is increased by 5% for 15 seconds. Not bad, but I can do better, I do think. Oops. What was that? Whatever, I'm just going to kill these guys off. But that's pretty much it as far as the changes that I'm going with. So I've unlocked all of the powers. At this point, the only thing that's left is to get myself to level 60, see what my final stats are going to look like in terms of power points, where I've spent my feat points, what my ability scores are looking like, which is currently 21, 21, 15. I'm thinking about a little extra points in intelligence because that actually is quite useful, especially for Temptation. The recharge speed increase is pretty nice, but we'll consider all of that later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sign off here, and I'm going to level myself up to level 60. I'm going to get up there, show you what my final setup looks like, my final thoughts on the class, and I'll also talk a little bit about armor sets and the different tiers available and what bonuses I think will stack up the best for different builds of the Warlock. If that interests you, be sure to say so in the comments so I know exactly what you guys want to see. Also, be sure to hit that thumbs up button because it really does help for a small channel like mine. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Pravus with the Scourge Warlock class, and I will see you guys next time.